Whew. Getting all breathless talking about books. Hello, I'm Maxine, and I'm back for my vlog number 2, as promised. Today I am planning to talk about my thoughts for reorganizing my currently very chaotic bookshelves. My book collection isn't huge right now, as you can see, for a couple of reasons. The first one is when we were living in California, we were living in a pretty cozy condo with not a lot of extra storage space. So we had a 1 in, 1 out rule for everything that we bought, be it mugs or t-shirts or books. So books were kind of ebbing and flowing in and out of my home at a very regular rhythm for the last 8 or 9 years. And the other reason is because we just moved. So before I packed up all my books, I did a pretty big kind of clean out and donation swoop through them. So what I have now are mostly a lot of favorites, some random books of my husband's that we've held on to for reasons. And as you'll see when I give you a tour, a decent sized collection of cookbooks as well as games and game related books too. So my literature collection is intimate, small but mighty right now, which is great, I think, for organizing. And I have these built-ins that were here in my office when we moved into this house. So that was great and easy, and I have plenty of space to play around with right now, which I think is a great time for reorganizing because, of course, the goal is always that you have room to keep buying books and have somewhere to put them. So yeah, I'm sure that you've seen a million videos of people reorganizing their bookshelves. I have too. I love them. I love seeing what's on people's shelves. I also love getting a little bit more detailed chance to look at people's design aesthetic and their furniture and stuff like that. So I've always enjoyed those videos, decided that I'd like to try one for myself. But yeah, as I've kind of teased, I'm hoping that my organizational structure will be something a little bit different and fun to try on, and we'll see whether or not it works long term. So what I've seen most online so far in terms of people organizing their home libraries are, I think most common is people organizing by author / by genre. A lot of times when you organize by author, it ends up being somewhat by genre as well, although recently a lot of the videos that I've watched, people seem to really be prioritizing organizing by author, especially I think a lot of the booktubers who I follow read a lot of series. So yeah, by author, by genre. I also follow a lot of people who receive a lot of ARCs and early reader copies and who need to read and review or comment on books within kind of a timely fashion. So I have seen a lot of people also organizing their shelves by publication date. So that's an option as well. And then, of course, there's always the aesthetic option. So, kind of organizing by color, primary color on the cover. And I have seen people organize by trim size as well. Let me take a little sippy of water. It is hot today. So yeah, I considered all of those when thinking about how to organize my shelves. The last two, so by size or by color or, kind of anything else that's by looks, just doesn't really call to me. I think it looks beautiful, of course. There was even this bar in San Francisco that I loved. And they had a huge wall of books that were organized by color, and it was so dramatic and beautiful. But I just find that kind of impractical for wanting to be able to go, kind of quickly or semi-quickly find a book that you're looking for. Maybe because I don't have as much of a photographic memory, so I can't always say oh yeah, that cover is yellow or whatever. And same with by size. I feel like I'd be even less likely to remember the trim size on a book. Yeah, you think I would. I spent so long on each kid's book, like thinking about the size and shape of the book when I was editing in-house. But anyway, so yeah, those just aren't the best solution for me. Same with publication date, but for different reasons. The type of writing that I do, if I'm writing about books, the publication date isn't really relevant to me. So that's not a way that I think I'll be seeking out books very often on my shelves. And then author and genre, I just feel like I've kind of tried it before. So that brings me to my plan. Also gives me the chance to talk about one of my favorite books. So my organizational structure is inspired by one of my favorite books, which is The Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George. So Nina George is a German writer. I believe she lives in Germany, perhaps lives some in France as well. So this book was originally published in German in 2013 and then was published in English by Penguin Random House in 2015, translation by Simon Pare for the English edition. So I love this book. If you haven't read it, highly recommend. I actually think it's a great summer read because it's not a totally fluffy beach read, but it has some of that. It's kind of part travel book, part unconventional romance, and part book about books. So it kind of has a really rich emotional depth to it, but also is very readable. And like pick up and put downable. So if you're at the pool or the beach or something like that, it does make me cry every time I read it. So heads up, if you don't like crying in public and you're a crier, consider yourself warned. I don't love crying in public, but I'm such a crier that I've kind of had to get over it. I'm a runner and I cry when I'm running, listening to audiobooks like every day. I cried today out on my run listening to a podcast. So, but yeah, fair warning, if you're a little bit weepy and you don't like people to see it, maybe save this one for bedtime or something like that. Anyway, the kind of premise of this book, and I promise no spoilers, is the main character, whose name is Jean Perdu, owns a bookstore in Paris. His bookstore is unique because it's on a boat. It's on a river barge. So his store is on the Seine. And he approaches book selling in a very unique way, I think because he approaches reading in a very unique way. So he thinks of his bookstore as a literary apothecary is how they translated it, or a literary pharmacy. And when he is considering selling someone a book, he kind of is thinking of it as medicine. So the way that he talks about books, organizes them, all of that is kind of based around what he feels the book could cure or help with. And I just love that idea. It really resonated with me, really resonated with how I think about a lot of the books in my permanent collection. As I said, I, kind of had to be pretty selective over the past decade about which books I had space to keep. So the ones that have stuck around are books that really did cure something inside of me or speak to something that needed to be spoken to. So this concept really resonates for me. And Nina George just writes it so beautifully. So yes, my plan is to treat my collection as a remedy for afflictions of the soul. So I'm going to be organizing my books by sort of emotion that they can speak to or help soothe. And then I'll definitely give you a detailed tour of the collection once it's organized, and that'll give me a chance to kind of share my final list of categories with you, and also definitely call out a few other favorites. So that's my plan. I'm getting ready to launch my little Maxine's home literary apothecary. And I'm really excited to just give it a try. I'm really glad that this idea kind of struck me because it's making organizing my bookshelves feel like a creative project and like a fun way to like re-engage with my books and kind of think about like, wow, how did this really make me feel, and what need or emotion or affliction in me did it recognize or speak to or soothe in some way. So yeah, I think it's just, the project is hopefully going to be a really fun way to re-engage with my books, and I'm going to try to give myself some time to be really thoughtful about it. So, I mean, in my video of me organizing, you'll probably see me with a little glass of wine in hand, and I'm just gonna maybe light a candle and kind of try to sink into it a little bit. My husband's out of town for a couple days this week, so I also thought that's kind of a nice opportunity to just let it be something that I can really dedicate some solo time to. So, and then of course share it with all of you lovely friends / strangers out there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's entertaining for you too, or at least a curiosity. And yeah, we'll see how it goes.